So with that said, there is new information that recently came out that supports my point that the British elites, the politicians, do not want Brexit to happen. So we got this article which came out yesterday, and it really tells that what I've been saying all along is accurate. Tony Blair has been accused of unacceptable behavior after it emerged he has been briefing Emmanuel Macron, the French president, on how to force Britain to stay in the European Union. The former Labour Prime Minister believes that if the EU stands its ground over the Brexit deal, the Parliament will cave in and accept a customs union, which would keep Britain yoked to Brussels, or a second referendum that could cancel Brexit altogether. So what this means is that while people wanted sovereignty from the European Union, they're going to be actually turned into a vassal state. So the Remainers don't get what they want, and the Brexiteers don't get what they want either. This is the worst possible outcome. It's as if the European Union would have declared war on Britain, they would have won the war, and now Britain is suing for peace, and they're becoming just an annexed state to the European Empire. And no, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say the European Union Empire. I'm just quoting Guy Verhofstadt, which is the man in charge of Brexit on behalf of the European Union. Furthermore, he is also talking about getting African nations within the European Union. I guess it's going to be very difficult to complain about migration when there is going to be no borders between the EU and Africa. But that's a conversation for another time. Let's actually talk about what we have here on the table. He is reported to have told Mr. Macron to hold firm and wait for events to play out in London that end in Britain staying in the European Union. Peter Bone, a Eurosceptic Conservative MP, said it is totally unacceptable for a former Prime Minister to go around the heads of European countries and undermine the government's position. I'm not sure we could find another time in modern history where this has happened. So in order to understand just how ridiculous this is, I want to bring you an analogy. Imagine that there is a corporation by the name of V's Bad Hair Industries. And V's Bad Hair Industries has been a long-time partner with Sticks and Hammer, we like to spoon you.com. Now, for whatever reason, the partnership doesn't go in favor of V's Bad Hair Industries, and the board of this corporation wants to terminate the agreement. Now, one of the CEOs from V's Bad Hair Industries actually goes to Sticks and Hammers, we like to spoon you.com, and is informing their board and their advisors on how to get the best deal with V's Bad Hair Industries. In fact, it's not only how to get a best deal, but how to make sure that the trade partnership doesn't get broken and they end up in a better position than before. What would happen with that CEO, I wonder? Is it moral what that CEO is doing? Would it even be considered legal? So yeah, I do understand why Peter Bone, the Conservative MP, is absolutely baffled by Tony Blair's activities. It seems that his loyalties remain with the European Union rather than that of his own government. Tony Blair has to realize he has had his time as Prime Minister, and I'm surprised and disappointed he has done this. I doubt he would have liked it if his predecessor had done this to him. Thankfully, I don't think it will have any effect other than to damage his legacy. Mr. Blair is an outspoken advocate of a second referendum and has admitted in the past that he has told European leaders it was now probable a second referendum would happen. He has previously met with the European Commissioner President Jean-Claude Juncker for private talks about negotiating with Britain over Brexit. In a recent interview, Mr. Blair told Euronews, "I don't disclose the people I speak to because that should remain private between me and the leaders I talk to. But I think it's very obvious I need to get the European leaders to the next stage, which is to realize that the probability is it's going to happen and they've got to prepare for it." The Sunday Times quoted a conservative source saying that Mr. Blair's dealing with Mr. Macron. He's saying, "You've got to hold firm and then we'll end up staying." I suggest that Mr. Blair believes that the EU should refuse to offer Theresa May any further concessions on her deal, which would result in it being voted down and pave the way for Parliament to insist on a customs union or a second referendum. In other words, Mr. Blair is happy with Britain becoming a vassal state. Like, this isn't even the remaining position, because the remaining position is that people should still have a say in the European Union, no matter how little and insignificant that is. But with Mr. Blair, he would still like for nothing to change, but for British people to just not be in the EU Parliament, to not have a say in EU politics at all, and still be considered as a vassal state. So you need to understand, like, Tony Blair, this politician, isn't just a Remainer. He wants, like, if he can't get the remaining position, if he can't get the second referendum, he would rather just have Britain enslaved to the European Union rather than have them leave. I can't emphasize on why that is. I don't understand this type of thinking. I think it might have to do with ideology. Like there is this new trend of globalism that, you need just one world government and no borders, no nations, no deportations. Maybe this is like the mentality that Mr. Blair has, and he really doesn't care about Britain. He just views that the European Union might be a good candidate to just constantly annex more and more territory. I don't know. It's just a speculation. It's just very bizarre for me to see this position from a leader of Britain that used to be an MP. Now, with that said, what do I think is going to happen? I think it's obvious. The European Union has not treated Britain unfairly. The European Union was viewed as an alliance of nations, but it's kind of difficult to view it as an alliance now. The way they've treated Britain is to set an example for any other member states that would want to leave. The fact that they have threatened Hungary to remove them from leadership because they don't like the Hungarian people elect right-wing governments, I guess, is another red sign for me. And, I do think that they are definitely going to try to delay this as much as possible. Hopefully, Labour, for them, they hope that Labour might win. And once Labour wins, they're going to either have a second referendum or not leave at all. So this is definitely the intention of the European Union to delay this as much as possible. So I hope now people understand what's going on. Even though the European Union acts a little bit offended about Britain keep delaying the negotiations, this is really what they want. Like, this is their plan all along. And anyone else watching it, you gotta understand, the British people wanted to leave, but their politicians want them to stay. And it seems that the politician might have the final say in the situation.
It will be a decision for Parliament as to whether they accept the deal that I and the government have negotiated on behalf of the United Kingdom, on behalf of the United